Everybody, we're live. Yay! Thank you so much for coming today, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we were just talking back. I should introduce ourselves. Us.
If you want, it's your show.
Whatever. I'm Lisa Daly. This is my channel. Today, as always, I have my lovely and talented co-host, Carrow Brown. And Bones, special guest, is here today.
Whenever he shows up.
Whenever he shows up. He's very famous, so he really just gets to wander in and out as he likes. Yeah. And Carrow has an awesome channel, which is linked down below. And we also have the story detective, Robert Jones. Yeah. Yay! His channel is also linked below. And Savvy, who's normally with us, is not here today. Because she is prepping for the big conference that she talked about in last week's live stream. Hello, Nihilist Geek. We're very glad you're here today.
Yay. The theory that Savvy and Robert don't show up in the same stream.
I know.
That's why earlier off stage when you said that, I was like,
Is it true? Let's think about this. All right, Joe Ninja Hen is here. Hello. Look at this. Elizabeth Fairfax was here 10 minutes early with 2 sick kids, but she has a word count.
Yay.
We love that. We love that. Oh, Introvert Sarah's here. Hi, Introvert Sarah. Look at this. You have a good group. Hi. Okay. Does anybody know how to say her name?
Catalia.
Catalia?
Oh, Catalia. I always say Catalia. Girlfriend, help me. If I've been saying your name wrong all this time.
Can we have, I don't know, Catalia? I don't know. Let's have some phonetics down below in the comments. We would like to get that right. Francesca's here. Yay. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for coming. So while we are waiting.
I have been saying it wrong. It's Catalea.
Catalea.
Catalea. Girlfriend, you got to tell me to say your name right.
Okay, let me just say, sometimes you know people. I think this is a common experience. Wait, Catalea. Okay, so I think this is a super common experience with people who read a lot, that we often know words, understand the meaning of words or names that we don't actually know how to pronounce because we've only ever seen them in writing. I think that's true. Catalea. That's a really pretty name. I really like that. Devin's here. Yay. All right. Fantastic. Look, everybody's. Hello, Nesta. Welcome. Michael Edward McPhee is here. No idea what I'm doing. Is going to finish a synopsis and an author bio, but I've already done that. There's always more. You can do author platforming. Author platform build. It's going to be a.
Oh wait.
Yeah. Platform building. You guys, next week, the first Wednesday of the month, I think is our official promo stream next week.
Right. Yeah, you wanted me to talk about Canva.
Yes.
Like, all the Canva stuff.
Right, that's right. Next week, Carrow is going to take us all the way through Canva. We're going to talk about how to make your Instagram, Twitter posts and thumbnails all beautiful. All beautiful. Okay.
Oh, Leah's here.
Hello. Yay.
Hello, friend.
Yay. Joanne Ninja Head. All right. Here we think. So I had to say this carefully, speaking of knowing people and then still not pronouncing their names correctly. And it makes it worse because she is so sweet and kind that you could call her Joan Ninja Hen for 100 years and she'd never correct you. She never corrects me.
Well, her first name is an acronym of her actual name too. So she's like, there's no wrong way to say it to her. So
I know. Well, she mentioned that last week on the live stream. So I was very relieved to hear that, but I still feel terrible. She pronounces it Joanne. I should be pronouncing it Joanne. Yeah, last week when she was with us, she showed us these awesome we were talking about these awesome animated covers that she's been doing. I actually posted mine on Instagram this week, and it just got all kinds of attention. Everybody's like, oh. So that's good news, right? Okay. Until the summer creep, I thought.
Oh, no. I'm pronouncing everyone's name wrong today. I give up. Hashtag done.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah. Canva is awesome. It is really a fantastic program. So, or app. I guess it's not really a program. This you were asking is Alana, not Elena. Alana. Okay.
I just say everybody's name wrong. I give up.
I know, right? I'll just say this is my friend Carrow and my other friend Bobbert. And I'm Liza for today.
There was like one live stream that somebody was doing, and I didn't watch it, but apparently she was talking about me, and she didn't know how to say my name, so she was just like going through every phonic way to say it, and I was like, I kind of want to watch it, but I kind of don't.
It's always hi Eva Rice. It's always entertaining. I saw. She saw my post. Yay! So like how Instagram is, like you always get like a couple people linking on your bio. I got like 9 or 10 links because we linked in the bio to you, and so on that post, like the links like blew up. So I feel like you're gonna get some people inquiring about these covers. That's really cool. On mine, like she's like looking out at the water at the beach, and her little hands move, and the sun, right? And then there's like sparkly on the title, like like it was reflected off the water. It's very cool. All right.
Absolutely not.
Eva, we got that one right. Best person ever.
This is true.
I have just the opposite, since Robert Jones is the second most common name on the planet. So I said everybody's pronouncing it wrong. It's really Robert Jonet.
My actual first name is spelled the Irish way, but when people like read it, they always try to do like the British pronunciation, or not the British, the French one. And I always like, because it's missing an extra T and an E at the end. So you say it this way. It's like, oh, but it sounds so much more romantic about that. I'm like, listen, this is my fucking name. You either say it my way,
or you don't say it at all. Yeah. I always had the thing, not so much anymore, but a lot of times people would try to shorten my name to Lee. My name's Lisa. They'd start to shorten my name to Lee. And I'm thinking, it's only 4 letters. Let's say the whole thing. Yeah. All right. So this is, as you guys are all sort of filtering in, welcome, by the way. We're super, super glad that you're here. I wanted to talk about Tamara's video today because I just saw an Instagram post about it this morning, and then I went over and watched the video a little earlier. And for those of you who have not seen it, it's Tamara talking about this experience that she had with trying to find an editor, a developmental editor, which is a different kind of editor than a line editor. So a developmental editor will look at your whole story. They will tell you if the plot goes off the rails. They'll tell you, if your characters are inconsistent. They'll help you if you're writing multiple point of view. They'll help you with. But this is sort of a big, overarching edit. This is sort of the job of a traditional editor at a publishing company. And then the second type of editor is the line editor. And the line editor is the person who goes through and makes sure that you spell all your slang the same way, which apparently I don't. I spelled "oh my god" like 17 different ways in every book. I always try to be consistent, but no, it never happens. That's always like on the style sheet. There's 50 million "oh my gods," and they'll go through and check your punctuation and grammar and and all those things that you sort of think of when you think of an editor. So she had, developmental editing for a self-published book can cost a lot of money, and so she was sort of looking for someone who was reasonably priced, and she found someone. And she had them do a sample edit, which is a good idea if you're going to
always do sample edits on everything.
Yeah.
So formatting, cover, everything.
Exactly. So you want to have them do a sample edit just to make sure that you like their style of editing, that it seems like a good fit. And so she decided after the sample edit to hire this person, and they they took quite a long time. And you should definitely go check out the video. She
really
goes through the whole experience, which is not great. But finally, after not hearing from this person for a very long time and not getting the work and being way past the deadline when they promised her the work, they finally sent this edit and the editorial letter, which for those of you who don't know is the letter from the editor that sort of highlights the main points of the book that need to be addressed. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, an editorial letter is a couple of pages. I think the worst one I've ever heard from a major publisher was like 9 pages, which feels like a lot. Generally, it's kind of a conceptual thing, and they might go into more specific details in the actual book, but the editorial letter is generally a kind of, here are the challenge areas, here's what we need to work on, here's this, here's that. So she got this, and it was really nasty and personal, and like bad enough where she felt really terrible about it, like so bad that she didn't want to talk to people about it. And you could tell from watching this video, and you guys have to see it, it's very powerful. Yeah. You can tell from watching this video that she still is feeling the impacts from this. And so I want to talk about a couple of things. First, I want to talk about like horrible things that have happened, our own sort of horror stories in publishing. But also I want to talk about some of the things that we can do to, to make those things better in the future, or to sort of give advice for other writers so that they do not go down this path. So does anybody have a story they'd like to start with?
I think everybody has a bad editor story. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Robert go first because I think he said he already had one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to phrase it. It was one of the major comic book companies. And it was my first actual monthly book, which means I had a contract, I had a lot of stuff going on, and the editor loved everything, and suddenly I started getting feedback that was a little bit screwy, like notes included with the artwork that were nasty.
Oh,
and I said, where is this coming from? It turned out it was the assistant editor who really liked my partner but didn't think we were paired correctly, and he was like a soap opera every time my name came up of why I shouldn't be on the book. Little by little it started to affect everybody. Because you keep saying it, it becomes the truth.
Right.
And it was like a year later before it started affecting people, but the year slowly progressed into a nightmare, and it was not pleasant.
Oh, no, that's terrible. So if somebody was going through that same thing now, what would your advice to them be?
I would say hold on to yourself. If I could do it again, since it was like my first job, I would have ignored all that and did my work, because my partner loved what I was doing, the editor loved what I was doing, and you can lose yourself in that drama once it starts building because you don't know what to do. And I didn't. I came out of that feeling a wreck.
Right.
And just do what you do because they hired you for a reason. Right. And hold on to yourself and enjoy the work, because the world outside is always going to have different opinions. Some people are going to love you, some people are going to hate you, but
right.
Early on, I didn't really know that, so it was a little bit more devastating at that point.
It's really hard too, because that first book, your first big job. I mean, this is your dream job, right? So that first big opportunity, you feel like if this doesn't work out, right, you're never gonna recover.
You're doing something wrong, and you're terrible, and you just lucked into it.
You're so much nicer than me. I would have taken those comments and gone to the person and say, hey, I need a little clarification on the way that you communicate. Can you explain to me how these comments are professionally okay for you to say to me? That's what I would have.
Signing the notes. I didn't know who they were coming from, and I said, I'm not sure where this note is coming from. It's signed with a stylish initial. And he said, oh, that's the assistant. And I read what he said, and he goes, well, that's really no way to handle that. And I said something, and he misunderstood what I said. And he's like, what? And I could tell he was on the other guy's side. And I repeated it, and he's like, oh, well, he just brushed it off.
I have zero tolerance for that shit at work. I really do. Like, the moment I start seeing that bubble in with like the writers or anything. Like I come in like a fucking Sharkpedo and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. That does not happen in my workplace.
Yeah.
Did you say a Sharkpedo?
Yeah.
A shark and a torpedo.
Yeah,
together.
like I zoom in there and then I chew the fuck out of everybody.
I think that was, have you used this word before, or did you just coin it just this very moment? I feel like this is.
I just used it just now.
I feel like this is a historical event. I'm very excited about the Sharkpedo. We will for now and forever refer to this as the Sharkpedo
moment. Yes.
Of the stream. All right. Well, what about you guys in the comments? Let us know about some of your publishing horror stories. I've had, like, my first publishing experience was so awesome because I basically had this agent sort of I've written this book, and the publicist I'd hired said, "Oh, I have a friend who's an agent. I want to get her to send this letter." And I said, "Okay, great." And so then I get this call from this agent. I'd really love to rep your book. Like, I know it never happens that way to anyone, and I feel very terrible for expressing how it happened to me.
It's okay. We like to know that, stars fall at least once. It's okay.
Occasionally, yes. So the publicist got me booked on, of all things, the Sally Jesse Raphael show, which was still had a good size audience at the time. It was actually right before she got canceled, but anyway, but we didn't know that at the time. I literally did like the last show before they called everybody into the studio and said, "We're done." So I feel kind of terrible, and I really liked her. She was a nice woman. Anyway, so I come to do this show, and the agent has set up meetings for me with all 6 houses, and I end up getting several offers that week. So again, there was no like big sending. It was all this like compact. The whole thing happened in like a week and a half. It was shocking. So I'm thinking, well, this is how it is. The person who bought my book was the editor-in-chief at Plume, which is an imprint of Penguin. And so there was no like begging for marketing money or any of that stuff because she was the boss. And so I had this really fortunate experience. And then she bought my second book, which was my first novel, and then promptly got promoted to be the editor of Dutton, which is a bigger hardcover imprint of Penguin. And then a bunch of people left at that time. And so suddenly I'm with an editor that doesn't know me, and I have this publicist that doesn't know me, I went from having the top publicist to like, the person who just got hired last week. And like the whole thing just dramatically changed. And I thought about how, and the experience was still mostly okay, but they kept running out of books. I was like on tour and they kept running out of books. And I had this publicist who had like, I don't know, 3 weeks of experience telling me, "Sweetie, you're never going to get on TV. You're never going to get any publicity for a novel. You don't understand." And I thought, like, I've been on TV for like, at that point, like 5 or 6 years, really consistently. And I was like, "Yes, I am." But it was terrible to have like go from a thing where people were like, "Oh, we believe you, you're a star," to this like
pessimistic
you're this
asshole.
on your desk because the person who liked you just got promoted and went out the door. So I feel that. I also had like a really like crazy experience where I co-wrote a book. Well, I say that I wrote the book. We were going to write it together. He was a pretty famous writer on a television, or pretty famous creator of several television shows. And so we were going to write this book, but he was I shouldn't say he was really sexist, and this is supposed to be this like empowering women's fiction. And I'm like, I'm not writing that. We can't do that. So it was very, very challenging to have that experience. And ultimately what happened was I said, I don't want to do this project anymore because it was so stressful to have to write with this co-writer. And so we ended up making a deal where he got all the credit and I got all the money, which worked out great. So that was pretty nice. All right. So I want to hear, okay, so let's talk about what I do in the future. I don't think I would write a book with someone unless I knew them really well. This was something where our mutual agent was like, "Hey, you guys should, you'd be really perfect." And we would have been, I think, but personality-wise, it was not a good fit. But we both were crazy in love with the project. And with the first one, with Plume, you just have to kind of make your own magic, I think, that you cannot you know, publishers are basically like football teams, like or hockey teams, where the jerseys stay the same year after year, but the players are all different. And that's the same thing with publishing, right? The jersey's the same, but all the players are different from any year to another.
Yeah.
Especially young, talented people, they move on very quickly. All right, so, all right, Eva says, I haven't published, but I've done sample edits. I can tell pretty fast who enjoys my feedback and who doesn't. I think I've been a friendly editor, but I encourage writers to be honest if you're not feeling the vibe. I think that's true. And honestly, editors can be tough on you. I think the fact that it was so personal was like basically like at the end, he said something about how it was just a struggle to even read the book, not just like you had to force himself, which if someone's paying you a lot of money to read their book, you can be a little nicer. That's not about the book. That's personal. It could be
there's the flip side to my story. I mean, I had to ride the storm out. I was on that book for like a year and a half. So the last 5 or 6 months was a nightmare. And I had to weather the storm because there was no winning. If the editor looks at the younger assistant as his protege,
right.
So riding the storm out, they moved my partner onto a different book. It was a much better book. And they said they were going to make him a superstar, but I wasn't going to come with him.
Oh,
Stay on that book that I was on. And I had other offers, and I told them that. And I said, I think, you know, it's time to move on. And they were actually mad that I was moving on. And I took another job, and I was keeping my head low because I felt kind of beat up. And suddenly I'm getting this buzz because the guy that they hooked my partner up with destroyed his work. And the idea started going around the industry that I was the one making the book look good. And everybody my work and hating him. Because he was very good at what he did. But I got a little wave and I started getting better jobs and better paying jobs. So weathering the storm, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. The reverberations actually helped me and hurt him for a little while. He did work. But
there's some truth to that. I will say with the second book, and you know, where my first editor had been very supportive of any publication I had, my second book, they were always trying to kind of damp me down and oh no, you can't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you can't do that. And I'm at the end of the day, I'm thinking these are my numbers. This is like when I'm sending out my next book proposal, my sales are mine to keep. And I can't put in my next book proposal, oh, well, so-and-so said I shouldn't do that because that's only for bigger books or what. Like those numbers are yours to keep. So Eva wrote something about people hate editors as a default, right? I don't know if that's true. I think if you're a smart writer, you do not. Sometimes it's painful to hear what they have to say, but a good editor will make your work better. And
you can always give feedback in a way that is constructive. Like if there's a problem, like, so at my writing group, and I always bring him up and I feel really bad. At my writing group, there is this individual who's diagnosed with autism. And unfortunately for him, his parents took him out of school at a really young age. So he wasn't properly socialized. He doesn't have a lot of context knowledge to stuff. Like his scope of things is very limited. But he's always improving. He's always trying to do better. And we were doing feedback one night and he said, the way that you write this dialogue is stupid and you need to stop doing that. And the guy started to argue with him and like we were all like, stop, like this is not going to work. And so I said, I'm going to model about how to give feedback for you. And so I did the exact same thing that he did, but I had worded it completely different. And the guy was like, oh, okay, I see what you're meaning. And of course, like my poor friend was just kind of like, why is it when I say stuff, you guys argue with me, but she says it and you guys are like, oh, okay, that's right. It was like, it's about delivery. Right. It will always be about delivery.
Right. Well, it reminds me of this statistic I saw a couple of years ago about how doctors who have really great bedside manner, they don't make any more or fewer mistakes, but they get sued way less often than the genius who's a jerk. So, right? And I think there's something to that. You can deliver bad news in a way that is kind. I was talking to another author friend of mine about who had gotten a Kirkus review, but it was just burned the book to the ground. And what I said was they are notoriously tough. Unless you are getting a paid review from Kirkus, an actual editorial review from Kirkus, they are often really, really rough on authors. And I said, okay, so 2 things to remember here. First, you got a review from Kirkus, and people will maybe remember they saw it, but they won't remember what it said. And the second thing is it had just enough words for a good pull quote for the blurb. So I'm like, you know, it could be like mesmerizing and in its horribleness, but it says mesmerizing. So like use that. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, you're right. It's just, and I'm trying to think. Like, I think it was a doctor who once told me that sometimes you also have to pick your battles too. So like when he's talking about immunizations and he talks to like his patients about giving the children immunizations, obviously there's a big debate on that. I don't have a pony in this race. I don't want to start this discussion, but what he does is he'll have a discussion with them, and he says, if I can give 1 immunization out of 5, I call that a win because it's better than none to me. So you know, it's just, yeah,
absolutely. All right. So wait, I'm sorry. So introvert Sarah says being the person who has to give feedback is just as scary as being the person receiving it. Well, and the other thing to remember about feedback is that it is subjective. For every person that loves your book, there is another person that will hate it. And I think about this book, the series, the 50 Shades of Grey thing. And I think about how it was, to me, I read it and I thought it was horrific. I thought it was so awful. And I could not, and it was recommended to me by friends of mine who were doctors and attorneys and like incredibly bright women. Hi, Bones. Hi, Bones. And I was shocked, completely flabbergasted that they loved it. And yet there were lots and lots, millions of people who loved that series and that writing, or at least just as much. I don't know.
I found the people who understand the context of what that book was revolving around, they hated that.
Yeah, I think so.
Knew it was wrong, but everybody else who doesn't understand the scene, they didn't know any better, so they were just engrossed by the nuance of it. That was my takeaway at the time.
Right.
It doesn't make it right.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, okay, so Eva makes a really good point here about honest feedback without emotion is easy to give, but receiving it is a lot harder. So the truth is, if you're editing, it is important to give honest feedback, but you can do it in a way that's not, where you're not tearing the person to the ground. And I think especially in, writing is so challenging. And I had my, when I wrote Single-Minded, we'd sold it as a romantic comedy, and then I had 3 really tragic and horrible things happen to me from the time I got the contract to the time I finished the book. And the first edition of it was really dark, and it was way darker than my stuff, really dramatic departure. And my mother, who is always the most supportive person in my life, says, I love it. It made me cry. It was wonderful. And my editor or my agent said, this is a romantic comedy. It is not funny. And the romance, we don't even meet the guy until 100 pages in, which was true. And my mother was ready to, duke it out with her. But I said, no, she's right. And she was exactly right. And the book needed a rewrite. And I did that. And it's a much better book. And it's exactly what I wanted it to be, because eventually you go through that kind of terrible stuff. All right, let's go through most. Let's see. I got edits from an editor, had back and forth, and was basically I made the changes. And the editor says you have to make the changes. With a publishing contract, generally the text is under your control and the cover, title, marketing stuff is under the publisher's control. So you can refuse, but they can also say, we're not going to publish this. And so, right? So that's kind of the option. If there's something you feel really strongly about, you need to be able to argue your point with your editor and say, this, and you can't argue everything, but pick your battles, as Carol said earlier, and argue the thing that is the most important to you.
Yeah, that's actually part of my horror editor story when my roulette comes over.
Yeah. All right. Yes. All right. I feel like it's 11:30 Eastern time and we have not started writing. So let's do our 5-minute warm up. And now we have the delight of knowing that Carrow's going to tell us her story when we come back from the break. Yay, that's going to be exciting. And I am going to get this timer rolling. Let me just check on that. Here we go. Add it to the screen. Take this off.
Are we doing the 5 warm-up?
We are. We're doing 5 minutes. I'm sorry. Thank you, Carrow, for keeping me on track.
I just didn't know. I was like, what am I doing?
But we're doing it. We're going to start off with a 5-minute warm-up, you guys, and just to get our little fingers all exercised. And then after the next break, we'll start with our 20s. So, all right, let's get all warmed up. Here we go. All right. Good job, everybody. I just responded to comments. I think I got about 61 words. I don't know. I totally just made that number up. No idea. How did you guys do in our little 5-minute warm-up?
I'm just doing a read through because I started editing the last couple of write-ins that we did and dove right in, but I want to read through everything and make notes and, you know, start getting serious about it.
That's good. I want to just say there's something that I have done for a long time. I know you're making edits. If you guys want to know where Robert is in his progress, you can check out his video from this past week. So one of the things that you talked about was sort of letting it rest, which is such an important thing to do, such an important thing because you see so many different things. But another thing to do is to print it out to edit it rather than reading it on the screen because you notice things on paper that you wouldn't notice otherwise. And I don't know, months and months ago, I saw a video from Alexa Dunn who was trying out this thing that was like the Comic Sans challenge. And she basically printed out her entire manuscript in Comic Sans, which I think sounds like a really painful experience. But apparently you notice a lot more terrible things. And I think because your brain is like, make it stop. And so you're focused more on the words. I tried it like on a couple of pages and I was really surprised at how much I noticed that was different. But I don't think I could edit a whole book that way. But printing it out really does help.
Yeah, I usually change the font for mine for Courier New just because all the letter spacing is the same. I don't know why that's a thing for me, but it is. It helps me edit.
Well, that and choosing a font with serifs, which if you don't know, serifs are the little sticky things on the ends of like T's. That helps a lot. It makes it easier for your brain to sort of absorb the words. So, all right. Any other tricks, Robert? What else are you doing? What other little secrets do you have for your editing?
Well, I took your advice and I saved a copy of the other draft rather than editing the initial. I got back to that. I used to do it and I kind of lost that and just kept a file with deleted scenes and extras. But I'm going to keep a separate file for that. And yeah, they say it's important to look at it in a different way than you wrote. So if you wrote it on a computer, print it out instead. Another way for me is to just send it to like the Kindle or get something with a reader. Robotic voice read it without much you can really hear what's going on with it.
You need that, yeah.
Yeah, I could not personally do the robotic voice for that long, but I admire you for doing that. And yes, just changing how you do it your formatting is super, super helpful because then it forces if you're looking at it the same way you wrote it, your brain knows the words that are missing, so it just automatically fills it in. Whereas if you're looking at it on a Kindle or on paper, you're a lot more likely to notice those errors. So Devin says hello to Bones. Yay. We had some people who came in right as we were starting the first sprint, so awesome timing to you. Yay, Jeannie, we're so glad you're here. DC Brown Books, late to the party. You know what? You're here. You're fashionably late. Awesome. Hello. Yay, something to sprint for. Tina came in too. Yay, we're so glad you're here. So what do we have? Hey, chat, help, Italian girl's name. Wait, did I miss something? Oh, yay. Oh, there we go. Patrizia. Oh, you need an Italian girl's name. I thought earlier in the stream we were talking about how to pronounce different names. I thought you were specifically needing help to pronounce an Italian girl's name. Rosalia, Gia. Those are good. I lived in Italy and I literally am drawing a blank right now. I'm sorry. If I come up with any, I'll let you know. I'm sure I will as soon as the stream is over. I'll be like, Isabella. I always love that name. Francesca. I guess it depends on your character. I feel like we need more details than just Italian girl. So bring it on. Let's hear it.
That's all right. Name too.
So before the sprint, we were talking about sort of kick things off talking about Tamara's new video where she talks about a pretty horrible experience with the developmental editor. And you guys should definitely check that out. It's clearly, she's very emotional when she's talking about it. And she really sort of lays the whole thing bare, which I think is wonderful and also super hard to do in such a public forum. So I'm like proud of her, but also I think it's such a valuable experience that she's sharing. So here's what we're doing. We're talking about some publishing horror stories or writing horror stories, and writers are always, we're always sort of the subject of or the target of some unscrupulous people, which is a personal, it's like a personal vendetta for Carrow. But tell us about your story, Carrow. You have one.
Okay. So with the first publisher I was with, who shall not be named, and they're going bankrupt, and I have no personal glee in that at all, but I do. They signed me up, and they said that my editor was going to do my edits in a month and that they were going to send them back to me. That was like in December of that year. And then by the end of January, I had like reached out and I'm like, hey, what is going on with these edits? Because you said that you wanted to publish this book in April. And I know that we still have to do line edits and proofreading, and I don't know how much time that's going to take. So go to find out that this editor that I use with quotes had just decided to take a month off and not tell anybody. And then of course my boss is calling. I'm going to call you back. Okay, sorry. No, I have to take this if he's calling me.
Okay, that's okay. Over and out. All right, here we go.
In terms of developmental editors, for anybody that's listening that didn't hear the beginning or doesn't know what that is, for the big picture stuff, what they are is almost like a glorified beta reader, except you're paying for somebody that you hope knows more than the average reader would know. And they're helping you develop your plot on those big picture levels, so they can often be the most expensive. But if you have the right beta readers, sure. But you don't want to go into line edits and not fix those big picture things, because then you could pay for an editor the second time if you end up finding problems along the way.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. A good developmental editor can be really worth their weight in gold, but the key there is they have to be a good developmental editor. Yes. And the thing that's really great is that people who are really well read, especially in your genre, they will notice, your beta readers will notice when something's off, and they may not be able to articulate it in the same way a developmental editor would, because the difference between a beta reader and a developmental editor is that a beta reader will be able to tell you when something's wrong, but they may not necessarily be able to tell you how to fix it. And a developmental editor should definitely be able to tell you how to fix it. And I don't mean that they tell you how to rewrite the character, but they'll say this needs to happen to get us from point A to point B.
Yeah, and even if they make suggestions, I mean, it's up to you to figure out how you utilize that and to be objective.
Exactly.
See if what they're true, right?
One thing I will point out is that sometimes not all suggestions are good. Like my first, not the editor I'm telling the story about, but the very first developmental editor I had was absolutely fantastic. The only reason I didn't stay with her is because their bedside manner was not very good. But one of her first suggestions was like, you have to get rid of chapter 1 because it doesn't do anything for the story. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Chapter 1 like does a lot of things for the story. She's like, no, it's worthless. Get rid of it. And I was like, okay. Sorry, friend, don't agree with you on that. But like everything else that she told me, I was like, okay, we'll do that. That's fine. But like that one, I was like.
And the funny thing is, that's not actually a very good note. If it says, I feel like I want to get to the good part, which doesn't really happen until chapter 2, like it slows things down, maybe you could put that information somewhere in the backstory and start like where the story starts getting good. Like there are ways to say chapter 1 is not doing you any favors without saying it sucks, get rid of it.
Her argument was that the story, like the chapter 1 didn't have anything else to do with like the following plot points, which I think what she really wanted to say is I don't see how chapter 1 has an impact on my character's development later on, which to me meant that I needed to make that more evident, but she just didn't. Bedside manner, this is what I'm talking about.
So how would you solve that in the future?
So like at work, actually, I call them the beta wolves, because it's just a group of us that will go through all the scripts or any of the manuscripts that come through, and we put in suggestions. And I have a talk with all the new ones that come in about how to give feedback and what, you know, good feedback looks like and what it doesn't look like, because there are some people who come in with like a red magic marker, and their idea of giving good feedback is just to like slash everything. And I'm like, no,
that's not good.
But I always tell them about how to approach somebody's work, and I always tell them it's like, you know, to you, this is some words on a paper. To somebody else, this is like their baby. So, you know, you're not going to go to a park and slap somebody's kid around, are you? So, but a lot of times what they'll do is say, you know, it's like, I think I know what you're trying to do with this, but this is my reading interpretation from it, and this is my thought on it. And I always encourage them to do the reading interpretation thing, because that's going to say a lot more than what I think they would originally say on their own. Like, you know, circle it like this sucks, get rid of it. Like, I don't think that's what you're really trying to say.
Right. Just to say, was this your intention? Because this is what I'm getting from this. That is really good feedback, because then you go, oh, shoot, no, that's not what I wanted at all. And if one person gets that, how many others will feel that way or interpret it that way? And how can I make this more clear, or change this or change that? That's actually a really great way to give feedback. All right. So we have to go back to, before we start our 20-minute sprints, I do want to hear your publishing horror stories, guys. So shout them out in the chat. But we have a problem to solve, because Nihilist Geek has an Italian 7-year-old girl who's the daughter of a capo that he needs to name. And so we've got some suggestions. It looks like right now the front runner might be DAL's Francesca, which is, I always think is such a lovely name. And Francesca agrees. So that's good. How do you, Giuseppina? Is that like Josephina?
Don't ask me. We've already established I can't say names.
Gianna, or Giovanna. That's good. All right, wait. I feel like I missed. Hang on. There's. Oh, that. The crappy companies eventually move out of business most times, but sometimes it takes way too long. Okay, I had another experience where, unbeknownst to me, there were different factions at the publisher. I got an editor from a different faction. They lost my manuscript. They lost one schedule. Oh, that's never good. That's never good. The last thing you want, that's called being orphaned, basically, when the person who loves your book leaves, or you end up under a different imprint or something. Yeah, and you feel like an orphan. It's not a good thing. Yes, good analogy. All right, here we have 2 more names, Elena or Liliana. All right, Nihilist Geek needs our help, guys. If you have any other Italian 7-year-old girl names, put them in the chat. All right, so speaking of help with writing, let's get some done, shall we?
Oh, nice segue. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
I appreciate it. I'm going to pop this little timer up right now, and we will get rolling. Let's just get that bad boy going. Here we go. All right, everybody, let's get started. Oh, right.
It's like he always knows. It's like the bell's about to go off.
I watch it like a hawk the last 10 seconds. I'm like, yes, it freaks me out that it's going to go. So right after we started, we got like a rush of comments, which judging from the comments, I think happened after our 5-minute sprint because there's just a ton of stuff in here. So I'm going to try and go through. I think people were, let me turn off this banner. It's going crazy. The banner's like, all right. So what, so people were giving us, everybody was telling us what they were working on, and we completely missed it. So let's go through all that now. How did you guys do? Let us know. Hopefully it won't take 15 minutes for the comments to come through. So I think this was like after the 5 minutes. Michael Edward McPhee says that he didn't figure out what to work on yet. Francesca, 76 words. Yay, that was awesome. I think that was for the 5. Doll is just outlining. She had a point later down in the comments, which was when Robert and I were talking about editing, and I said, oh yeah, it really helps to print it out. She was like, print it out, ... question mark. So obviously, Doll, I don't know, do you use like the robotic voice like Robert does? How do you deal with that? For you guys who don't know, Doll is blind, and so she has, in addition to all of the other challenges of being a writer, she has to like edit in a completely different way, which I find absolutely fascinating and amazing. So what do you do, Doll, when you edit? Tell us how that works. All right, so splitting time, BC Brown Books, a splitting time between marketing for my 11 a.m. video today. Plug. Everybody, go check out the video. What's your video?
Do the thing.
Yeah, 11 a.m. Video and a work in progress. Just got 37 whip words and 84 marketing words. It's nice that you split that out for us. I appreciate that. So, what's your video about today? Let us know in the comments. All right, Tina edited part of a scene, maybe 2 Kindle pages, and corrected something, so all good. I'm moving stuff around in my chapter right now. I decided I needed to add in another scene, and I'm having a really hard time with transitions, which usually I do not, but because the other part was so finished, I feel like I've crowbarred it in, and I don't like it when I like it to be seamless when it's done, where you never know. So that's what I've been doing.
Notes on all my little telling instead of showing, because the first draft, if you can't think of something, you're just telling more than you should.
Right. Yes, that's exactly true. It's funny because both Doll and Joanne had asked me early on to do a video on telling versus showing, and which I fully intend to do. It's actually on my schedule. I just haven't shot it yet. But one of the things I find that's really interesting is that you can, or showing versus telling, not telling versus showing. Whether important, I think it is, but I would like your take, Robert. You want to talk about showing v telling?
You're blanking out. I forget the word. I'm not sure.
Let's move on.
Okay, you're clear now. I couldn't hear you before I got it.
Sorry. Good gracious.
There's just a moment where Robert and I were like,
what is saying? Her lips are moving, but we can't hear her.
You were frozen.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now I'm just like, right? I probably like freeze like that, not like in a good way, like a.
Yeah, it's always like when you're in mid blink and your mouth is open.
Right, exactly, or this, like that. So we were talking about telling versus showing, and showing versus telling, and tell us about your process that you're doing right now a little bit with that.
Well, I'm looking at ways where I'm telling things that's too obvious and making notes of how I show it through a scene or an action where people having a conversation and then leaving those questions up, at least some of them, for the reader to figure out, rather than being so obvious like I am in the telling.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yes.
All right. Jeannie got about 40 words. Again, I think this might have been. So great. Congratulations. That's awesome. Yay. Doll says, in my case, it's make the robot read it again. Well, I'm sure that the robot is really enjoying it. Robots love good fiction. I think we all know that. All right. Ooh, Joanne is designing a new class. That's awesome. I'm very excited about that. And 37 words to boot. Not too bad. Change the font size. That's another good thing to do when you are printing out a draft to edit. Or did you already say that? I don't think I did. I think I said change the font. I don't think I said change the font size. But often when you change the font, you do get a different size.
Yeah, because your eyes are used to seeing it a certain way, so seeing it differently and whatever works for you is helpful.
Yes. And blue paper is great. That's kind of an old school editing trick, so thank you for bringing that up. Blue paper is an interesting idea. It is. You would be shocked at how much easier it is on your eyes. There you go. Robert knows.
And then we're back at the Italian girl.
We're back at the Italian. I thought we solved it with Francesca. I guess I made a mistake. We did. Oh, okay. Wait. Here we go.
Because these are all the suggestions that came after that.
In the middle where we missed. Okay. So you need to proofread prior to publishing. Final step. Recommend a second proofread, or the first read catches way more. That's true. Although honestly, if you leave leave some time for your book to rest, you will pick up a ton of those proofreading errors. Good betas are worth their weight in gold. Okay, we already did. I think we missed like some in the middle. See, Savy's here! Yay!
Hello, friend.
Oh my gosh, Carrow! I felt so bad. I had written your live because for all of you who don't know, Carrow used to live stream right after we did here, but we wiped her out and sucked her brain dry. And so she switched days. And I had it on my calendar to go to your new live stream yesterday. And I did not get a notification from YouTube until after it was over. And I completely spaced it out. So
yeah, mine popped up when it was like, over halfway done. And I was occupied with other things. So yeah, I remember that it moved to Tuesday.
I know. So we should
part of the reason
in our phones, huh?
I mean, part of the reason Wednesday's like my super busy day because obviously there was the live stream, and then I have to turn in college assignments on Wednesday, and then I have to prep up my pages for writing group, and then I have to go to writing group. And so what was happening was just like I would wake up and it'd be like all the way to the end of the day, and I was just like, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to move my stream over to this day, and then I can at least have like a breather period between
I think breather between the is very important.
Yes.
So for all of us, for next week, be sure that you do not miss it. Put a little reminder in your phone in case YouTube fails us like they did this week. Carrow's live streams are on. I'm reading this so I do not screw up the day. She's now on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 12 noon Central Time, over on her channel.
Now, I will say at the moment that I moved my time, somebody else moved into it. And guess who it was?
Who is it, Tamara?
I can't hear.
Who is?
No, Tamara's on Thursday. Dal moved into my slot. So right after this one, you guys can go hang out with Dal.
No.
Shameless promo for Dal.
Nice. We're already doing promo stream today. Okay, Dal, I'll make a note, Dal, and we'll include. How long does yours go? Send me a note in the comments, and I'll add yours to the description. So Dal is now going. Is she going from 1 or is she going from 2 p.m. Eastern? Is she in your exact spot?
Yeah, she starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then I just threw her in for the 2-hour block. I don't know if that's how long she's going to go for, but.
Okay. Great. All right, fantastic. We'll check that out if you guys want to keep streaming afterward. Oh, here she goes. Stream at 2 p.m. Eastern. Joanne says, thank you. 2 p.m. All right, fantastic. All right. Geek says he had a very scary video yesterday about starting series from books other than the first. That's an interesting idea. I mean, like you write 3 and then you do like a prequel, and let's explain more about that. All right, you guys, I feel like we should be a little more productive today. I feel like I've slacked off on cracking the whip. So let me get our little timer up.
Do you want me to finish my editor story after this?
Yes.
This
oh my God. No.
After the sprint. After the sprint. We can do it after.
Let's do it now. We want to hear the rest of the story.
Oh my God. Okay. So the editor was late, didn't tell anybody, and all this other stuff. And then they finally, like, I think in the following February, I got the feedback. And this was when I was still in the intro part of my master's program, and it required that I had to fly out somewhere for an internship. And so I was in the middle of that when I got the feedback. And when I first started going through the edits, I was just kind of like, okay, hold on. And I had to like walk away and had to ask myself questions because I was like, am I being sensitive about this? Like, what's going on? Because something about the feedback like didn't seem right to me, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I got to a scene where Queen Titania was there, and she had highlighted the name and said, haha, you have to change this name because it starts with tit. And I was like, hold the fucking phone. And so I immediately reached out to the publisher, and I had screenshot this comment. I was like, is this person actually like is this a joke? Because I can't tell. Like, there's no tone in this. And so they reached out to her, and they were kind of like, hey, why did you have her tell her to change this name? It's like, oh, because it starts with tit. And she was like, you know, that's a Shakespearean character, right?
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so then like
Titus or Titan.
I know. And like that, like when that moment happened, I was like, oh my fucking God, what is happening to me? And then she got into like this really stupid battle with me about the word brownie. Because in England, when you say, hey, you know, I've got a brownie infestation in my house, it's a joke saying, or at least where I grew up in England, I can't speak for all of England. But it was a joke basically saying that like little Faye had gotten into the house and that's why you can't find your fucking keys because, you know, they moved them. Right. You know, that was the joke. And she was like, you can't use the word brownie because it's derogatory. And I was like, where? Like, you have to tell me where. She's like, it's just derogatory.
I thought of Little Mini Girl Scouts.
I told her that too. I was like, if it's such a derogatory word, why do the American Girl Scouts use it as a rank? She's like, oh, well, I'll have to look into that. And I was like, can I fire you? And then when she was supposed to do the line edits, what she did is that she went and researched every bit of mythology in my book and tried to fact check me and change it. And then there's one part in my book where you actually go to Japan, and she's like, you can't write Japanese people this way because it's not how it is. And I was like, first off, sis, I lived there for 5 years. I know exactly how Japanese people act. All right. You need to fucking check yourself. And she's like, oh, well, obviously I'm going to defer to your personal experience. Like, no, you weren't fucking ready to defer to my personal experience. You came in there with a fucking hammer and told me I was wrong. And now I know this is how I'm telling the story, but this is how it actually happens. I see her feedback. I have a knee-jerk reaction. And then I'm like, Mr. Brown, I need you to help me write my response to this person because I can't write it right now. And he would come in and help me make it very diplomatic. And we would send it. And then it would take her 4 days. It would take her 4 days to respond to me.
I don't mean to laugh. It's awesome.
Laugh all you want. It's fine. But yeah, and then at one point she was just kind of like, what was the thing that made me like tell her like you're done? There was one part where there was a character and I said that she had a Scandinavian accent. She's like, you can't write that. That's not a thing. And I was like, that's like saying she has an American accent. It's totally a thing. She's like, no, it's not. And I was like, you're done. Like, we're done. Like, I need a different editor. But of course, like right after that is when the PR rep and the lawyer for that publishing house were leaving. And they're like, hey, we're on our way out the door. Do you want us to put you in the wording for the contract? And I was like, fuck yes, get me the hell out of here.
Take me with you. Yes. Oh my gosh. That is maddening. Absolutely maddening. Well, an a line editor's job is not to tell you.
She's not supposed to fact check.
You know, if you are saying something that's derogatory, obviously they should flag that. But when you're not just describing someone as American or their accent is, you know, as Norwegian is not in itself offensive.
Yeah, no, she was just, no, at one point it was just a power struggle with me. And I'm not going to lie, there were some very terse words said at the end. And I very kindly responded to her with like, look, I understand that your pride is on the line and you got a lot going on, but you talk to me one more time this way and I'm going to take your comments and put them on Twitter. So go fuck yourself, get back in your lane.
Carol, whew, you're a wild woman.
Yeah, don't fuck with me.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. I think my worst line, like I have gotten some lovely line, which usually they are very businesslike. They do not make any personal comments. But my first and my last one both had personal comments. The last one, she said all these like, oh my gosh, this made me laugh so hard, which you never get from a line editor. I was shocked. I was delighted, but I was shocked. But the first one was like, do you have to swear so much? The first line editor. And I was like, yes, I do. Moving on.
Yeah, she totally hated every guy in my story too. Like she hated all of them. And one of them, and the main love interest is a prior Marine. And I can't speak for everybody. I've worked with Marines. I'm pretty well familiar with their mentality and how they act. And so every scene where he showed up, she was basically trying to cut his nuts off. And I was like, do you actually like interact with people?
Sometimes not. There is something that we've sort of skirted around but have not really talked about. And there's the phrase is the shadow authors. Have you heard this expression before? I want to say the book was The Artist's Way, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But basically the idea is there are all these people in these professions who really want to be authors or really want to be writers, but they don't feel like they can do it or they're not quite ready to do it. And so they take these jobs where they're around authors. And this is not just true for writers, it's also true for musicians and actors. But there's some part of that like they just want to redline everything, or you know what I mean? Like they want so much to be in that spot that they end up really being super aggressive and nasty. And it sounds like your line editor had that kind of thing going on.
I think because it took, like, obviously when I was in the heat at the moment, I had a lot of thoughts. But it took me probably like 3 months after it was all said and done and I was moving on to other things for me to realize that this was probably like her first leadership role. And she wanted to be the bad bitch in town. I don't respond well to that, obviously. And she thought that, and yeah, I know, right? And she thought that I should have been unbelievably grateful for, you know, being accepted and that I should take her feedback and stuff like that, and didn't. And so when I turned around and I started countering her stuff, this was the woman who was the reason why I bought the Chicago Manual of Style. Because when she was saying things, I was just like, that really just does not make sense. And so I would take pictures of the parts where she said she was citing. I was like, you're not even citing these right. Like, she was not ready for me.
Carrow, I don't know that. I don't think she was. I don't think she was. That was an expression. I wish I had a screenshot of the face that Robert just made just then.
Oh, what? Why? I missed it.
It was. I can't even.
Either.
It was just like, no, she's not ready. Okay, we are going to do our writing sprint, and then we're going to get back to our. We're going to get back to our comment stream today. DAL has told us. I'm very excited. About exactly how she listens to her drafts, which I think is super cool. And there are a whole bunch of other comments too. So, all right, you guys, let's get rolling because I'm going to feel bad if we just chat all day and we don't get any work done. So let's
when we get back, I have a suggestion for developmental edits that I think a lot of people will find helpful.
Yay. Okay. Remind me because you know how I am. All right, here we go. Ding. Ding, ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding. I feel like you jinxed me a little teeny bit, Carol. Because in the last one you said, I always know right when it's going to end. And there was like a delay or something. I don't know what I have great internet, but I feel like I'm a little laggy today. I think that's why all the comments are like super, super slow.
Usually Bones always knows when the timer's about to come off, because that's when all of a sudden like his nose starts poking me on the sensitive part of my arm.
Yeah. Yes. That is, I do not have my dog in here. I used to have my old dog, Zeus. He's a little Havanese, and he would like be under my desk all the time. And when it was time to go pick up my daughter, he would just get up like it's time to go. And there were plenty of times where I was like completely in the zone, where he like got up and was like, okay, time to get out the door. Mm. We had a ton of comments, and I'm like so lost for where we were. So we were talking about.
I see a lot of comments making fun of my ex-editor.
Yes, says that we have a lot of comments about this. So lots of. Oh my gosh, we have a ton. Okay, here we go. So.
I edited some pages. That's what I did.
Okay. So, Chronicles of Narnia. She was Introvert Sarah's responding to Nihilist Geek talking about writing a story out of order. I actually just saw this 5 series. You should not start with book 1. I don't know where I saw it, but I saw it somewhere. CO Savvy, we're so glad you're here. Officially dubbing Wednesdays Daily DAL Wednesdays. Love it. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, so Francesca says, Nihilist Geek, the horror. I could not bring myself to start a book series in the middle. All right.
I think it's a mark of a good book, though, if you accidentally pick up one in the middle and you can still kind of figure out what's going on. Like that.
Yeah.
I had that talk with one person who came to writing group, because like I told him that all of his books do need to stand on their own, and that people shouldn't have to read like your previous first 3 books to figure out what's going on in this book. Mm-hmm. And it should be more like a treat for them to go back and read all the other ones. But I mean, that's an opinion thing. I can go ahead and safely say that. Not everybody.
No, not right. Not everybody. And this is what they say. If you write a series, the publisher will want you to sort of give like a super quick wrap up of who everybody is, kind of where they fit in this world, in the first couple of pages, so that if you do pick it up on book 7, that you can at least follow along with the story. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I really do like to read series in order. Really like, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the first book series I read was actually by Tamora Pierce, and I read her second book before I realized that there was a first book. But I was like, I can't put this book down. I have to finish it. And then when I went and read the first book, it was just a fun thing to read. I didn't need it was just good. Words are hard.
Words are hard. Words are hard. Okay, Joe Ninja Hen says the teacher represents. So we're going back to talking about line edits and the crazy ass shit your editor said to you. So Joanne Ninja Hen says the teacher represented. We're
reprimanded. Reprimanded. We'll help each other. There's 3 of us. We can do this.
We can do it. The 3 of us can read a comment. Reprimanded me for using the word narcissistic because she confused it with Nazis. Well, no. Scandinavian accent is totally a thing. You've been validated. Can you? Okay. Can you also not use a set? There was like a whole thing on this. Oh my gosh. Devin said this. He came up with like 50 of them, and I literally snort laughed. And if you write about sailors, you can't use seamen. Oh, okay.
There's a fun epilogue to that story. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yes.
All the books that she edited were taken down by Amazon for quality control.
No. Oh, that's
It
bad.
does always come back upon people, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. It really does. Okay, Sport Streak has begun.
Someone had mentioned it to me. I was like, and like I had typed like, man, that's such a shame. I hope that they grow from that on my side of the community. I was like, you deserve
it. Oh my gosh, we have like a milestone. Jeannie Marcella says 2 pages of editing left and my book is done, which by the time the comments come through, you're probably already done. But that's an awesome thing. Yay. Okay, BC Brown Books, a solid 612 words on the work in progress this time. Hells yeah. Nice work. I actually got 561, so I'm pretty excited about that because my last 2 I've been very non-productive. Joanne Ninja Hen. I'm going to do it forever. Can I just call you? I'm just going to call you the Ninja because you're a badass. All right.
See, Tamara, wild. We were talking about you at the start of the stream, Tamara. I just want you to know that.
Oh, we were. I linked to your video, which I thought was incredibly powerful. We talked all like you were our topic today. I linked to Tamara's video in the comments or in the description below. So if you guys have not seen it, you can go check it out that way, or you can just head over to her channel. All right, here we go. 227 from Francesca. That's awesome. Did I lose? I literally lost my place again. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, yes. Robert is going to give us developmental editing tips. So let's do that, and I'll put comments up.
It's not so much tips, but a time saver and a money saver. Probably if you watched my videos last fall when I talked about structure, I mentioned Story Engineering by Larry Brooks. If you go to his website, storyfix.com, he doesn't do this all the time because if he's working on a book or whatever, sometimes he doesn't have time. But he has a questionnaire, since he's like the structure master. He has a questionnaire that if you fill out these key points of your story, he can give you that whole developmental editing process in just that question. And he's always spot on. I used him. A bunch of people used him. The people that ignored him have actually chimed in and self-published and said my book failed for exactly the reasons Larry said it was going to fail.
Wow.
He is very good at this, and he charges like a couple $100. I mean, it's not much, and he gets back to you within a few weeks, and you have a big long letter, and it's essentially developmental edits.
Wow. All right, I'm going to link to that down in the description.
No, I'm like, give me that. I might want that for my self-published stuff.
Storyfix.com, right? Awesome. All right. Fantastic. Tamara's here. Yay. We're so glad you made it. All right. I think I missed this part, but I also love karma. All right. Here we go. Yay. Figuring out things now. Picking up steam. All right. Everyone break a keyboard or a pen while I'm gone. Thank you. Awesome. All right, here we go. CO Savvy says, Tamara saw the video. Can't imagine anyone being so mean. You wanted to quit writing. I can't either, and you definitely should not quit writing.
No.
You heard it here first.
Don't let them win.
No.
Do what I do and start a publishing company and watch them go bankrupt.
Yeah, right? Do that. Do that. That's awesome. All right, it's 12:55. I have shortened our time to 15. I have a 15-minute blah blah
writing sprint.
Timer, writing sprint, blah blah blah. I cannot get my shit together today. All right, so here's what's going to happen. We are going to start this sprint. That was an awkward transition, but you guys, we got to get one more in before we head out today. So I am going to start that 15-minute timer up, and we are going to get rolling. So let's hit it. Here we go. Look at that. I pulled it off for the last sprint. But as CO Savvy pointed out, I did do something else that was completely ridiculous. I had my dorky moment for the live stream, which is right in the middle. I posted a comment. I was trying to like make a comment to welcome Aphrodite, who's here. Hello, Aphrodite. Yeah. And I ended up posting my own gigantic comment to the screen. So that was awesome.
It's fine.
Yeah. So yes, it's a trend. Every live stream I will do something ridiculous, and also Devin will make me snort laugh. So far, and CO Savvy will also come up with a nickname for us. So far, that's what's happening. Here we go. All right, Ness is here. Yay! Oh, see, okay, Nessa is saying, as a hopeless new writer, your video really helped me so much yesterday. Thank you so much. See, this is it. Already helping people. Look at that. Yes, exactly. I think there's something that is, I mean, as much as everybody always loves to hear sort of the like, you know, sitting at the soda counter kind of publishing moments. I love to hear that. I love to hear those. But it's also really helpful to talk about stuff that sucks and is hard, and, you know, and that it helps us to not feel like we're going through this very solitary profession alone, which is, I think, the thing that I love the most about Authortube and you guys, because now we have this place where we can talk to people about this who have, you know, had these experiences before. Like, nobody has to feel so alone, you know, as they would have felt, you know, 10 or 15 years ago. All right, Aphrodite got here late. That's okay. We're glad you made it. All right, yay, there we go. Thank you, Aphrodite, we love you. NASA's creeping around in the background, want to listen in, but also need to focus. I know we were very talky today, I apologize. We'll be back to work next week. Although next week, as you guys remember, is the first Wednesday of the month. We are doing the promo stream. And next week, Carrow is going to take us all through Canva, and we're going to talk about some things that can make our lives easier as we are platform building and doing all that promo stuff that we normally hate to do. I know I hate it. So I burned through some of our, yeah, that is absolutely the truth. Yeah. So you guys are awesome. I have like a couple things that I want to say before we go, and I also want to hear any final thoughts from you. First of all, if you guys don't already know, Carrow has a brand new book out. It's called Dress Up, and you can get it at Amazon. In fact, you can do it right after this stream if you wanted to. Just saying, I like to be helpful that way. And then,
appreciate it, thanks.
You what?
Appreciate it, thanks.
So the other thing I want to ask you, or DAL, but like the comments are coming so slowly. Do you know, does DAL's live stream start today?
Yeah.
Does she have it today? Yeah. Okay.
Today.
So if you'd actually like to get more writing done and less chatty chat like we've been doing today, head over to DAL's live stream. In about 45 minutes, she will be starting there. All right, I'm going to go through what DAL says she loves Canva. It's awesome.
I am having like a little supplemental video coming up this Friday about it because, yeah, so it's not, I'm still going to go over how to use Canva and all that other stuff, but there's a lot of other stuff I do before I even jump into Canva I thought would be useful for people. So I was just going to make a video about that. So
I think that is a great idea. I think that's a really great idea. All right, send me a link when it's up, and I will link to that also. So if you have not seen Tamara's video yet, it's linked in the description. If you need a map to get you over to DAL's live stream, there is a link in the description. I'm going to go through the comments super fast. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, you missed one that I think we have to celebrate, and it's that Jeannie finished her book.
What? Yeah. Yay! Yay! We're all clapping for you right now, Jeannie. That's awesome. Woo, woo. I feel so honored that it happened right here, especially because we totally thought. Do you remember when we thought Robert was going to finish his book on the live stream, and he was like 200 words short, but then he finished on Carrow's. So Jeannie, yay!
I like totally overlooked it at first too, because he's like, I finished. And I was like, okay, Robert finished. And then like 3 seconds went by. I was like, oh wait, he finished yet.
Finished. I know. I was actually late picking my daughter up from school that day because I knew it was going to happen, and I'm like, okay, I just got to stay because I know he's going to finish any minute. So, all right.
Why are you all like? This is the other one that came out, guys.
All right, Carrow Brown, did you put it on the Authortube news shout out list? Am I on that list? I don't think I am. All right.
If you have something that's coming out anytime this year, you can go ahead and fill out the survey that we have. And basically what we do is we talk about your book and then we give links to it. So and we try to do the one that's closest to the episode that we have at the time. So sometimes it's 1 book, sometimes it's 4 books. It really depends. But yeah, we try to do that. So anything published, relaunch, self-published, whatever, we want it. So
okay, that sounds awesome. I don't have anything. I always love to give a little love to all my friends. All right, congratulations. This is fantastic. Ooh, it's on Kindle Unlimited. Yay.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Much love from DAL. Congratulations. We're so proud of you. This is so awesome. Yay. All right, you guys. The other thing I wanted to say, if you have not seen Robert's video from this week, you definitely need to check it out, where he's talking about basically going through the joy of editing, especially one-handed. Woo, that's fun. And Carrow also put out a video this week that kind of came like under the radar, which is sort of random writing advice. And I felt that it was like, there was a lot of, it covered a lot of ground. It was super, super helpful. So if you guys have not seen that one, you definitely want to check that out on Carrow's channel.
Yeah, so basically you get to hear random writing advice from me while I'm on cold meds. So if that's your thing, that's there.
Right? So it's almost as good as drunk book reviews.
Almost.
Writing advice on cold meds.
There's no falling off the stool in this one, though. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, that's a relief. That's always a relief. Okay. So before we go, I just want to say, I want to give you guys sort of a chance for anybody who doesn't know Carrow and Robert. They are fellow Authortubers and writers. Carrow, tell us a little bit about your channel.
So my channel focuses on anything from writing advice to drunk book reviews to whatever I feel like throwing out at that particular point in time. A lot of people like the drunk book reviews. People are recommending me very low rated books to read. So I don't know why you guys are doing this to me, but I'll get drunk and I'll read these books and I'll rant about them. And just to be clear, usually when I do rant about the books, I do have like writing advice that's actually kind of like sprinkled in there about like, this is what you don't do in a book because it has to be like this and like all that other stuff. So I do sprinkle that in there. Something not, well, kind of related to the channel is that my book relaunch pre-order is out. It's out. My book is coming back out on March 23rd. So it's going to be out back in the world. It's like sending my baby to preschool. It's going to be great.
That's awesome. March 23rd.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do that day.
Well, we should have some sort of party. All right. So, Robert, tell us all about your channel.
Well, I do writing advice as well, plus book, movies, and tech review. I'm in the process of actually looking at diversifying a little bit and branching out into other ideas. So if you guys have any ideas, just leave them in the comment section or anything you might want more of or advice on, and I'll be happy to oblige.
Aww,
your Star Wars review was really good. Like I was sitting there going, yes, say it.
I love that review actually, and I'm not like it's. I think I commented this on the. I just stopped. Like I'd always enjoyed them before. I just can't do them anymore. Now I'm just out of it. Anyway, thank you, CO Savvy. We appreciate it. So I'm Lisa Daly. This is my channel. If you didn't notice by the giant logo, I'm sorry about that. If you are looking to publish a book that you're super proud of, write a book that you're proud of, get it published, this is the place for you. Yay. All right, I'm going to run through the comments. Thank you for hosting. Thank you for coming. You guys are awesome. We have such a great group here. I feel so thrilled. Holy smokes, the comment thing just went down. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for coming again, Nessa. Yay. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for hosting and telling folks about it. Aw, that's so sweet. I was so moved by it today. And the funny thing is I should have been getting ready. You might notice my hair is a little insane. I should have been getting ready, but I was watching your video instead.
It's very engrossing. No, it really was. Because at one point, because like, I know like it might be awkward to kind of like expose yourself that way, but like, you know, you feel it like in those words. It's like, oh,
yeah. Well, and she also edited this video in a way where she's moved on, like her voiceover sort of comes under her reaction. So you're still seeing the emotion on her face, but then she's sort of moved on topic, like just a little bit. It's only, you know, a delay of a few seconds, but it was really powerful because you let us see that emotion that you were feeling, and it just made the whole thing very, very powerful. And I'm so grateful to you for sharing that, because I think that, I mean, even just in this stream, people feel like, you know, they not only are supportive of you, but they also feel supported by you. And I think that's, you know, that's why we're all here. So it was just phenomenal.
I see your face, Tamara. Accept the praise.
That's right. That's right. We love you too, Doll. So you guys have 38 minutes to eat lunch and then head over to Doll's live stream, just FYI. All right, Introvert Sarah, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to all of you for being here. And yay, book finish today. I always love that. So, all right, guys, have a great time, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.
See you later.
Bye.